Oh, great pinwheel of fate, lead me to do the answer of... Oh, what do we got? We got JPR. We'll hook it up down here. We'll do it like this. Alright, but we're going to hit this one. I know for sure. I knew it. There he is, being Waldo. Changing my rules. I see.
Hey there, you getting some gas?
Just using your squeegee.
Well, no gas, no squeegee.
No gas, no squeegee?
Now free gas station attendant?
Now free squeegee.
Evolve your journey in the first ever Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EV.
Jim, since launching the Inflation Beneficiaries ETF in January, again, the symbol's INFL, your assets have gone straight up. I see you're approaching $1 billion right now in assets under management. In this, you own land. I understand that. You own energy. And you own exchanges. That's what's curious to me. You own the Deutsche Börse. Australian stock exchange is very big. Walk us through what you own here. And the breakdown. Land, energy, and stock exchanges seem to be the main theme here.
It seems to be important.
Sure. So the unifying theme across everything that we own is capital light. So we want to remove a lot of the risk that a lot of other types of strategies and conventional inflation-oriented equities take through the capital intensity, the working capital, the balance sheet leverage, the cyclicality. And we express that through these capital light businesses that have very high operating margins, a lot of scale, and so you can really compound through a full inflation cycle. Our exposure, we do it through financial exchanges, we do it through royalties and energy, we do it through royalties and precious metals and base metals, we do it through brokerage firms, brokerages in insurance, commercial real estate, shipping, we do it through agricultural processing companies where, again, they're benefiting from the throughput, data and research, where you can touch industrials, automotives, healthcare. A lot of industries that you don't get in these conventional conventional allocations, but here you're getting into these niches of inflation where you're seeing a lot more inflationary forces. But here you really benefit from being kind of in that middleman or toll booth type of role where you get a lot of the benefits of inflation without the detriments of a lot of businesses that are directly upstream in the sectors or subsectors.
Yeah, and it's a fairly concentrated portfolio. The top 10 is a very large part of the overall holdings. But I see Charles River Lab, but we've discussed this before. It's a pharmaceutical lab research company. Is your number one holding at about 6% of the assets.
I mean, you'd have to walk in
explain the rationale between holding a pharmaceutical lab research company.
Sure. So I think healthcare is one of the hard to dispute areas of inflation over the last 5, 7, 10 years. You can kind of argue how the Fed or how the BLS massages data in other areas, but everybody's seen healthcare inflation. But it's really tough to access it, whether you go through a biotech or a pharma, because of all the capitalized expenditures and what it really takes to create the next blockbuster drug.
Well, it would be
when you go into kind of the HMOs, the insurance, the skilled nursing, again, you're really captive to kind of what the administration is going to do.
You put it on the cant board for what the value is, put it in spot.
Areas within the cost curve. Charles River, their main business is contract research. So basically, they're benefiting from doing the safety and discovery assessment of very early stage of a lot of biologics, pharmaceuticals, and therapeutics. But by virtue of their network of labs, their databases, and their processes, they can do everything faster and cheaper than the leading biotech, governments, and academic institutions. So they can really scale that business and benefit tremendously from volume and pricing pressure within the healthcare ecosystem. Again, without being that directly exposed to rising costs, whether it be wages or reinvestment or debt or all these other kind of areas that are more
Fed, if anything. Usually Fed, you'd say, for all of this, X, Y, and Z.
You know, and Anna, it seems like you're seeing something very similar. Investors are reacting to inflation concerns by adding commodity ETFs as an inflation hedge. Now, you've seen increased inflows into your commodity index tracking ETFs, DBC and PDBC. Tell us a little bit about these and what do they own.
Sure, Bob, you're absolutely right. We are observing this trend today, but it's not the first time. Every time that there are concerns about inflation, investors turn to commodities.
Yeah, well, you're going to give me money. You want me to do things with your money? Let's talk about where we can bury it on the grids. Honestly, and here's how you chase it. Anytime you call me, give me numbers about where a team was supposed to be and what it was supposed to be to what the game was. So it was. You had an early blanketed wink between certain systems. Well, it's high, it's low, it made the wave, didn't make the wave. And the real index of explaining that to a customer, saying, right now is a Walmart system. I had your index log on Walmart, and it's above the below and below the under on the year. That is the safest number in this market it could have ever have been. And that was your decision to leave long on that and not have somebody slam the sell button for you.
$7 billion. BBC went from $1 to $3 billion. And we believe that these flows
pretty straightforward conversation. I make money with free money that people have. It's an ETF, ain't it? It's an NTF. It's a Charizard card over time.
Yeah, you know, commodities make a lot of sense to me as an inflation hedge. Energy has always been considered an inflation hedge. You can always raise oil prices and gasoline prices. But because inflation also affects interest rates, it looks to me like investors are adding to their portfolios fixed income ETFs that maybe can generate yield while hedging against the negative impact of rising rates. I'm very intrigued by your senior loan ETF, BKLN. Which has had inflows recently. So this is an index of senior loans issued by bank corporations. Tell us a little bit about what does that own, and why would you consider that an inflation hedge?
Sure. That's a good question, Bob, because while investment in commodities is very intuitive as an inflation hedge, BKLN senior loans are not. But if you think about the BKLN portfolio and how it's structured, you will drive a connection between inflation, rising interest rates, and bank loans.
What do we got? 5, 4, 4,
so the
35
portfolio
o'clock
of
in the morning,
BKLN
I'm
is
grinding.
comprised of the 100
6
largest
get to work.
institutional
6:30,
leverage loans. They are
breakfast
issued
sandwich,
by
coffee,
banks
Red
to
Bull in hand.
corporations.
Ready to pull cans in the log factory. I'm ready to go. You're ready to make money for a guy like me, right?
Familiar names, and they include, United
Coming for the
Airlines,
company. I
Burger
see
King,
2 phases.
Western
I've
Digital,
seen
and
3
these
phases
bank
before
loans have
play
a
well
floating
into
rate coupon.
insurance
So
and
if you
other
think
things that
about
are
an
smart right
environment
now
in
to
which
what
there is a
people need
concern
that they're
about the rising
Renault.
interest rates,
You know,
this
man,
portfolio is
ETF,
something
Zillow,
that
Pillow,
may be
and all of
attractive
it
to
come
you.
around for.
BKLN has attracted $3 billion year to date. Today is the largest senior loan ETF with over $7 billion in assets.
Yeah, you've also seen inflows. I'm hitting some interesting inflation hedges here into the preferred ETF market. And Invesco has a PGX, which is the preferred. And I want you to, this is sort of an education moment for the viewers, why are owning preferred shares a bit of an inflation
to what you have
hedge?
to have covered for sure. And then you kind of rationalize back to the same. How much you really doing? You crank your phones up, calls all the time. It's like, I kill a laborer. It's like, I take a bull out of the farm, move, and put him here. Usually he do good, move.
No.
She,
They
whatever
are a
that
little
case
bit of
may
an
be.
inflation
Wherever
hedge
we need to
because,
put Vicky,
again,
Jody.
it's the same connection to rising interest rates that is driving the flows into BKLN. These funds, and they are PGX and BRT, they invest in fixed rate preferred and variable rate preferred, and they provide income. So for those investors who are looking for income
I don't have numbers
in
like
their
that. I can't
portfolio
quantify the
in
mill
the
and early
face
index
of
after
rising
indexes
interest
and
rates,
things.
these
That
are
means it changes things
these
too
are
much here.
securities,
After
and this is an asset
reports.
class that is definitely
Never
going to be
leaving
attractive to
the
you.
step of
PGX,
what
that includes fixed rate preferred, has added $600
would or
million
would not
this
be
year.
quantifiable.
BRT, that offers a variable rate preferred.
Inside of these, that's why you
has
don't encourage
$16
those types of
million
math.
this
That's why
year.
you try to
So
avoid
again, is the
standing
correlation
in.
between inflation concerns and rising interest rates.
It honestly
that
starts
makes
in,
this particular
again, the
investment
conversation, and that
incredibly
becomes a hard
compelling
conversation.
and
You're about to give me money, I'm going to make you money, you need
Dave,
a chainsaw.
Most of the
Like,
inflation strategies that you hear about, the viewers write in for, the knee-jerk strategy is, I'll buy TIPS, Treasury inflation-protected securities. But, looking at these various strategies, like commodities, for example, like even bank loans or preferreds. Is TIPS really a good way to hedge against inflation? It doesn't seem to have much upside to it in my head at least.
The old story is by the time you thought about investing in TIPS, you're probably too late. And
these guys
that's
have
really
to specify
right
that correct answer inside there. I mean,
right
there's a point where any Masters, like you become Alex Trebek, you're still behind the podium that day if it comes up. And when you think about being good on the top of those things and expose those informations, usually you can conduct it well just by grabbing it. Doesn't need anything special on it. Here was the kids' adjustment. They needed
so what we're seeing is people really bring their duration
it got off
in,
of the farm
they're
these
going
many
into
times,
TIPS, they're
that
going
many
in that
ways in
1 to
calculus.
5 year bucket, which I sort of consider cash parking, not really.
And it becomes
investing.
an action, spooky distance, great
Jim,
call, spooky
just give us
action,
your overall
the
view on
sheets
inflation. Of course,
thing,
the big
keeps you
debate
up
in
at night,
the
don't keep
world
you up
I
at
live
night.
in, which is the stock market, and the debate about peak inflation, peak earnings. Are we at peak inflation concerns, and how closely tied is that to the supply chain
You
issue?
just sit at the desk and wait for the next phone call to come in.
I don't
Because it was
think we're anywhere
private
near
practice from
peak,
the
but I
door.
do think it's going to ebb and flow
They had me
quite a
doing
bit
things
over the
across
next
the
1,
board on
3,
the system,
5, 7
so
years.
for
But
me,
I'm
on the
distinctly
thing,
in the
like,
camp that we are
I'm
in a
camped
secular
here. There had
inflation
to be things,
environment. And
National Guard,
obviously, there's a
or
little bit
anywhere
that has
else
to do with
didn't
supply
come
chain
find me,
issues
get
today,
me.
but a lot
Any
more has
other
to
way
do is
system
that
on that one.
global governments have created and stimulated a lot of artificial
And
demand,
sitting here,
and that is basically colliding
neighborhood.
with underinvestment and malinvestment in a lot of the areas where this demand is flowing into, which is resulting in a structural supply shortage that's just being exacerbated right now by supply chain issues. So again, I think the biggest thing is that there's going to be a lot of fits and starts, but the overall trend is going to be higher, and as you alluded to, in equity markets, the multi-trillion-dollar question is going to be, will that affect the yield curve? Because the yield curve is basically interest rates are gravity to financial asset prices, and if the long end of the curve really moves up and surprises people as it moves up, it's going to be a lead weight on equities, especially these really long duration, highly valued tech stocks that have really been the engine powering the market higher. And so that battle between interest rate sensitivity and then real, not to be mistaken with nominal growth, is going to really be the most important narrative
what the
for
investment
probably all
is I get
investors
for
over
you,
the next
and me being
1,
very clear
3,
with what the
5,
investment
even
back. The
7
chainsaw
years.
is a steal.
Yeah.
It has a
I
service
agree,
rating of an M1.
The history
You're going to
indicates
clock
that
that
moderate
thing
inflation stock
in this
market
motor
does fine.
phase.
When you get sudden, unexpected inflation,
Here is the market.
like in the 1970s, it tends to underperform.
And there's some sectors that stand out right now. Obviously,
inflation-adjusted basis.
Walden don't give a fuck about these grabbing. Obviously, Target, whatever's on the corner block of Binghamton. Because honestly, if it hits that and hits national numbers, that's X, Y, and Z. Go figure. It probably still have winner index because I go there and it hits. You know, so think about numbers like that. And if you want to adjust into something that was off of your system, hitting the buttons, making the sells on doing things. I heard some things. I don't like Ford, playing the game. Otherwise, inside of that, you're really thinking inside of here, you could tell them there's an adjustment. When there's an imaginary button in GPT-3 here, look, if in the thing I'm doing the day stocks, I want you to run day stocks for my number. That means that you're pretty much going to quarter out some of that horse right there inside of what the meat is on the bone for how much work I'm going to need to do when I do the red no crabby leisure on your ass on the farm. Because that would obviously be the repellent tower and everything else that we do the basic gravity for. And it wouldn't matter that I've ever done that or not. I know that is the standard model ASVAB answer, and it would only be that. It could only really do that in special relativity or field theory. There's the two things that it does, because any business would represent that same standard in its product against any other standard, but also inside of individual manufacturing systems that say the output would be a standard homogenized variance on what entropy of 0 and 1 is of any spectrum stator. That's you get out there with Stoker. He's a general of the first sergeant category giving board exams. Not to say that there's not other beta variables on what first sergeant may be useful for, or how at certain topologies it would be relative given a building's configuration that may be different, and how a broom closet could change the configuration of the overall index of Y over one button at Y, what that entire system would do differently. So once I get my books fixed in the mill, damn it,